So first of all, like I said, when you see an evaluation question like this, okay, they wouldn't ask you, the question that specifically. With that being said, you will be always asked to evaluate. Evaluate a the business performance based on the question. Okay, all right, yeah. But when you're looking at the exercise, I am showing you the things that you need to evaluate specifically, which is not going to happen in your exam. Okay, so which means when you are looking at the question, you need to look at the data very carefully. Try to find. Okay, so the first step that you need to do for a question like this, all right, you need to find step one. I would say step one. Find as many ratios that you can calculate, okay, as possible. All right, in order to evaluate the business performance. Okay, all right, you know what I mean? So when you look at our question here, because I have given you the guidelines, so when you look at all the data, all right, when you look at all the data together, all right, you should be able to find, there are three ratios that you can perform, which we did it last week. Okay, the current ratio, the quick ratio, and also the return on capital employed. And that is where we're going to start our evaluation. Okay, all right. Yeah, cool. Okay, so that's basically the first step. So the first step, yes, and then we found, current ratio, quick ratio, and also ROC. So yes, that's nice. Okay, so based on the ratios, we're gonna do all the analysis and all the evaluation. For the first step here, it's always good to remind yourself what the definitions are. So when you look at all the ratios here, okay, you would like to see the definitions, but not necessary. Okay, not necessary when you are working on your 6 marker, the evaluation question. You must define all definitions. It's not necessary, but it will give you a good idea. All right, what you're really looking at. Okay, all right. So that's basically the first step. So this is really the first step. Okay, the first step is actually here. All right. So once you have found the first step, once you have got it right for the first step, then you can move on to the second step. For the second step is basically what we did last week. Okay, what we did last week for the calculation. Yes, okay. If you still remember what you did last week, you did something like this, right? Yeah, you did task 1. So for task 1, you try to calculate the current ratio, quick ratio, and also ROCE, between 2016 and 2017. Okay, so for each ratio, you will have 2 pairs of answers, and that's what we're gonna do for the second step. Okay, all right. It really depends on what the question is asking. Sometimes they're asking for, well, let me use another color. They're asking for like a year versus year, which is something exactly like the question we're looking at. All right, because the question here we are looking at comparing the figures from 16 to 17. All right, how would you evaluate the business performance? Okay, so this is where we are looking at. Okay, but they are always very similar. It really depends on what the question is asking. Okay, so don't panic when you see something else. And maybe you will see something like this, your company figures versus another company. right? It's the same. Okay, you just make comparison. Okay, just make comparison. Look at this. Okay, the missing keyword that I was supposed to put it in the booklet. Okay, you compare different things, and there are so many different ways that you can compare. Okay, and also there's also one thing that you can compare, and you may find it in your exam. Your company versus the industrial. Yeah, I mean, it's something that we have already learned, okay? All right? So don't panic when you see different variations. They are all the same. You just compare. All right? So there you go, okay? So that's how we, able to finish the second step by calculating the different, things that the question requests, okay? All right? So since we have finished the second step, right here, yeah, we finished it, and we're gonna move on to the third step. Okay, the third step here is trying to make implication, or you can say we're trying to make analysis. Okay, make analysis when we are comparing the two things. Okay, here we are comparing year by year. Okay, sometimes you're comparing your company to another company, or your company to the industry, the average. Okay, so now we are trying to see well, there are so many things that we can see. We can take a look off like before and after. Okay, so we're trying to analyze. Okay, before and after, what happened? Okay, what really happened? Okay, yeah, before and after, and you're gonna come up with some implication. Is it getting getting higher or lower, right? Better or worse? Okay, all right. Make sure you indicate something very simple like this, because this will actually give you marks already. Okay, this will give you marks already. Okay, all right. So yeah, so you just have to follow my step here. Okay, is it getting higher, lower? When you let's say you're trying to compare year by year. So yeah, when you go from 2016 to 17, is it getting higher or lower? What does it mean? Is it getting better or worse? Okay, and also you may want to make implication. If it is getting higher or lower, if it is getting better or worse, all right. What does it mean? What does it mean by the implication? Okay, all right. Once you have made the comparison. Okay, all right. So when you look at the question here, look at current ratio. Okay, current ratio. Based on this question, we calculated the numbers, and we see from 2016 to 2017, it's been increased. Okay, it's been increased. So this is the first thing that you are going to write, but what is the implication behind that? And you would have to explain it. Okay, all right. So this is what you're gonna do for all the ratios that you can find from the available data. Okay, all right. So once you have done that, then you are gonna be fine. Okay, all right. Are we all good for step 3? Yes. So it's all about making analysis for the differences or changes. Okay, it depends on which one you are looking at. Okay, year versus year, company versus another company, or company versus industrial average. Oh, here I got my typo. Should be industrial average. All right. Okay. And then finally, you're going to make your evaluation. So this part here is basically, once you have done all the implication and all the comparison, you're going to make your evaluation here. So evaluation here is, so based on the analysis, okay? Let me just pink here. what the company should be concerned with. All right. Yeah. So this is what we are going to evaluate. Yeah. So once you have seen the implication, okay, what should they be concerned with? Should they be more concerned with the profitability, or should they, be more concerned with, like a liquidity, something like that? And you can finish your, evaluation just like that. So yeah, it can be focusing on like the potential problems or benefits. Okay. All right. So there you go. So that's how you can wrap things up. All right, by finishing all these. Okay. All right. So this is basically what we can do to finish a 6 marker. 6 marker. The evaluation one nicely. Yes. Okay. Any questions, guys? Any questions?